This ain't no fairy tale. This is blood, sweat, and prayer oil. This is the fight to stay. When leaving would be easier. This is the truth about happily ever after. Nobody told us that vows come with valleys, that for better might bring worse first, that two rings don't cancel the past, and sometimes silence can still hurt. But we showed up with grace in our grip, faith in our chest, tears on our lips, learning to love while we heal from the fall, still choosing forever through it all. It's not perfect, but it's purposed, not a fairy tale, but it's worth it. Ain't always pretty, but it's real, and we're still standing here. This is the truth about happily ever after. More than kisses, more than laughter. It's making peace in the middle of pain, still praying when it feels insane. This is the truth, not just the dream. When love gets tested behind the scenes, still we say I do, and we do it again. 'Cause covenant ain't pretend.
So let's go to the word. Jeremiah 17:9 says, the heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? So here's the scoop. God transforms, not wedding rings, right?
Hello.
God transforms, not wedding rings. So marriage is not the cure for childhood trauma. It's not the cure for your daddy issues. It's not the cure for your validation issues. So why do we as women, why do we do that? Why do we believe that marriage is this cure and this remedy for the things that we should be taking to God's altar?
Well, I think it stems from everybody wants their person, right? Everybody, and then let's go back to childhood when we've seen the Disney movies and the cartoons where it's like that knight in shining armor just comes in and just saves the day. I believe that that planted seeds within our little girl hearts that this is how relationships are supposed to be. And then especially if you were raised in a home where you didn't have the example of what marriage should be. So it's like, well, the fantasy looks and feels better than the reality. And so we grow up thinking and having this imagination that when I get married, my husband is going to be like this. When I get married, my wife is going to be like this. We're going to have this many children. Our house is going to be looking like this. We're going to drive this car. So you have it all mapped out and planned in your head. But that's the thing, it's in your head. And so what happens when what's in your head doesn't match what your eyes are actually seeing.
Your heart and your mind are deceitful.
Oh boy,
it should also expand on.
That's the word.
So you're hit with this reality that you thought marriage was going to be a fairy tale. You thought it was going to be something that you imagined in your mind since you were a little girl. Let's talk about it. Let's go to the little girl for a little bit. Tell me what the little girl in you thought about marriage.
Well, like I said, I didn't grow up with a two-parent household my whole life. My parents divorced when I was about 10 years old. So that's kind of like the prime age when little girls start developing, naturally, hormonally. They start having these desires, start having these things, and in that school age, TV was a big thing. It was starting to become a big thing. So a lot of different shows were coming out on TV, a lot of different movies. Like Amy said it back then, I'm aging myself, but Cinderella, Little Mermaid, Snow White, and different things that were out there. And so it's like when you don't, like she said, when you don't see that, you want that desire to imagine it, because your heart, the body naturally, the heart naturally wants to desire. God created the heart because he said, I'll give you the desires of your heart. So it is normal and natural for us to desire things. And when that void is there, when we see that as a void, when we don't physically see it, we automatically keep our endorphins up, or keep our spirit up, or keep our happiness up. We start imagining things, excuse me, imagining things that aren't there, imagining people, imagining situations, and that's what I did. Like, I was a very avid daydreamer, and I took pride in that, and I thought that was normal, and to the point to where that disconnection between reality and perception was it was scary almost.
So you said something very key: the disconnect between reality and perception. So talk to the single women. The ones who may not have someone they're betrothed to, or someone who's in a courtship. What would you say to them to not make those mistakes? Because both of you have been married over 5 years. I've been married for 9.5 years, and we've gone through some real stuff. Let's just be honest. We've gone through some real things that were messy. It wasn't cute. It wasn't funny. It was real. It was raw. It was painful, and we had to go back to the altar because this is not what I thought it was, God. God, I thought.
Yes.
God, I thought. But God, I thought. And then it wasn't, right? And so talk to the single women that have the opportunity to prevent that distorted perception before they get married.
Well, first off, I would suggest that you would examine your expectations. Are you creating the perfect man in your head? And if you are, what are you basing, or who are you basing him off of?
That part.
Like who?
That part.
Who? Because you know how we can take, I want a little bit, especially depending on who you saw growing up, right? Well, I want them to have Cliff Huxtable's money. I want them to have Will Smith. I'm dating myself too. Will Smith's looks. I want them to have Martin's humor, Martin Lawrence's humor, Martin, you know. And so you have this idea like, I want the perfect man.
Yes.
And then for those of us that are believers, we already serve a perfect God. Now, if I serve a perfect God and I allow for God to choose my spouse, he has to be perfect too.
That part.
Right? Because God is going to choose someone, and then listen to the lingo that we use. Oh, he is perfect for me, or she is perfect for me, right? Which they are. But a lot of us have this idea that perfection means there's absence of trials. There's absence of, I won't have to go through the same things that I did when I chose who to be with. So I think I'm going to go through the same things with when I allow God to choose, because God is perfect. He knows what I need. He knows he's the supply of each and every one of my needs according to your riches and glory, Christ Jesus. And so I would say first, examine your expectations, because how can you expect, and I'm guilty of this, okay? I know when I walked into my marriage, I knew, and Martin is perfect for me. He's perfect for me in a sense of first off, that's who God chose for me. And then the areas in where I am not strong in, the areas God knew. He just really, really knew. And so I would say examine your expectations and make sure that they're realistic as well. You can't expect for someone to give you something or be something that you aren't yourself.
Back to that word, expectations. We talked about it last episode. Try it. I say don't come in with any, but come in with realistic. But after all of that, after you do that, very good words of wisdom. Give yourself grace. One, know that it's okay that you feel that way. You're not a bad person for thinking that way because you didn't know any better. When you know better, you do better. And when you understand better, you operate better. And so once you understand, like, okay, God is, and just think about it, is God is shifting your mindset to see that, okay, maybe what I envision is not what I'm worth having. Maybe what he has for me is what I'm worth having.
Oh boy.
Because, God doesn't create mess. He said in Genesis 1, he saw it and that it was good. It was good. So everything that he created, including your spouse, including your husband, including your wife, including them children, they're good for you. And so even though it may not look like it, how you may have it, he may try to cultivate some things, because that's the thing too. You brought something back. When I was single, there was a certain particular type of look I used to be attracted to as a guy, for a guy. especially when I went to college. And not saying my husband is handsome. I call him my Samson there. Boy, I always bring it back. God changed my eyes, even in my singleness, while I was in Christ, so that I wouldn't be just single focused on the type of guy that I wanted to be attracted to. So that when so much, and don't even think about it as being like your hopes are let down because it's not what you desire. Think of it as what it is that you may think you're worth having, and that daydream is not what God thinks you're worth having. And He thinks you're worth goodness. So all that daydreaming that you may be thinking of, that you think is this, the color roses, the 6'12", 13 size shoe, all that, I think you're worth more than that. And God sees it worth more than that. So lower the expectations, not lower the expectations. Give yourself grace, and know it's okay to feel that way, and don't beat yourself up about it.
So let's talk to the married women, those who are under covenant, and you didn't do the work pre-marriage, and you're now married, and what's happening is you thought marriage was going to cure your childhood trauma, your identity issues, your bitterness, your unforgiveness, your resentment, whatever you had going on, you thought marriage was going to cure it. And now you're married and you are in the reality that it didn't. So, married women, what we got for them?
All right, for the married women, the first thing I would suggest you do is go to your father. And by father, I mean your father that is in heaven, who is in heaven. And when I say go to your father, of course, go to him honest, but also with respect and reverence for him. And go to him with your desires. Also go to him with your disappointments. Like lay it all at the altar. You know, God, I have to confess these things to you. I wanna lay this right here at your feet. I expected this. I thought that. And it wasn't that anyone told me. It was just something that I wanted. And because I wanted it, I pursued it. And I didn't allow room for you to come in and say, no, this isn't actually what I want for you. And so you go before the Lord and you lay it all before him. You know, God, I was expecting this. I didn't handle disappointment well. I did not handle the fact that I didn't have things the way that I wanted them to well, in a way that was honorable to you. Like being honest with God, really being honest with him. And so, again, I would suggest going to God, being honest, lay it all out before him, and then ask God for help too. Ask him for help. God, help me to fully embrace what you have for me, because as you said, Kayla, God looked at his creation. He said, that's good. That's good. Right? And then there are times when you have to war with the word because it don't feel good. So how can it be good? Right? It don't look good. So how can it be good? And so it would behoove you. I would encourage you to go and talk to your father. Lay it before him. And leave it right there.
So there's a lot of women that struggle with intimacy. They may not even know you can go to God like that. They struggle with intimacy with God. They struggle with intimacy in their relationships. And so for the woman that struggles with intimacy, how does she break that ice with God? How does she get to that place with God? And being honest, not just going to God with fluffy words and prayer notebooks and devotionals, but that real, raw, honest, uncut prayer to God. How does she do that if she struggles with intimacy?
That's good.
That's good. Like you said, real, raw, and uncut. That's what I keep thinking. Going to God, real, raw, and uncut. Even if you got to talk to him like he's your homeboy, or talk to him like someone that you're familiar with, and just know, even though it's intimacy, knowing that God, you're taking that step to talk to him. He delights in that. And that'll build more. That'll create more intimacy, spending more time, like I said, even if it is devotionals, scriptures, talking to him like you're talking to him every day, like you talk to your spouse every day, or you're talking to it may seem like you're talking to yourself, but you're talking to God. Walk and talk with him. That can build an intimacy. Treat it like an everyday part, like it's part of your movement of your natural body. Movement of your natural body, the movement of your natural voice, and just talk to the Father. That's one thing I can think of.
Awesome. And spend time with him too. It's just like with relationships, the more that you spend time with someone, the more you get to know them.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, think back to the beginning of our friendships. Think back to the beginning of even relationships.
Yes.
You started off as two people that didn't know each other. But the difference is in your relationship with the Lord, He know you, okay? You may have an idea of Him, but the more you spend time with Him, the more that you seek to understand Him as well, the more that, because God says, you draw nigh to me, I'll draw nigh to you. And so the more that you spend in the Word, the more that you spend time with the Lord, He will begin to reveal Himself in a way where your heart is just like, oh my, He's the love of our soul.
Yes.
You know, there's no one that can do us like God. And I believe, again, that time together and that intentional time as well.
Yes.
And the pouring into your relationship you would definitely experience the benefits of it.
So what are some of the things that came up in your marriage or may come up in marriage because we've entered it with this false perception? We entered it thinking it was the cure for my rejection. It was a cure. Oh, I'm getting married. I'm going to be completely cured of lust. I'm getting married. It's going to heal my childhood trauma. We're talking about the truth about happily ever after and our expectations when it came to being married. So we go into a marriage and we have issues that we have not dealt with. What do those issues now turn to inside of a marriage? There's one thing to deal with your issues alone. Deal with your issues while you're single. But when you get married and you have to honestly deal with your issues and his issues, and I think the biggest thing is some issues we don't even have to come to marriage with. We choose to because we didn't lay it at the altar. So what can those things turn to now that we're married?
One thing it can turn into is resentment. You can start resenting each other, especially when there's unspoken expectations or desires that are there. And take for instance, you come in a house, you're very tired.
Yeah.
You see I have, let's say I have bags in my hands or something. And I'm putting down the bags and, you know, you greet me, say hello, and then you go on upstairs. And it's like, well, like, you know, check on me, make sure I'm okay, make sure that I'm good, etc. But not realizing that he's on the phone dealing with something at work that's requires his attention. And when something happens and we don't have that like immediate response or the response that we're looking for, then here goes that mind again. Like, I know he saw me, or I know she did this. I know she didn't even ask me how my day was. Like, she come in the house, she ain't greet me. And then it becomes this whole unspoken dialogue that you're having with yourself, or really with spirits, but we're not gonna go there right now. And before you know it, you have an issue with each other. And then it comes into the room, and then it goes to bed with you. And then you are looking at him sideways, he's looking at you sideways. You're both immature if you really think about it. And then it's like, well, he gonna say something. If he ain't gonna say nothing, I ain't gonna say nothing. Or if she not gonna say anything, I'm not gonna say anything. And then it just builds resentment instead of just having a conversation. And a lot of times we refrain from having those conversations because some of us deal with rejection.
Yeah.
You know, if I do say something, is his response gonna piss me off? Or if I do say something, would he show that he cared?
Yeah.
You know, because again, that Prince Charming knows how to make everything better. He knows how to just make everything it's all cupcakes and sprinkles. And if we're not careful, having those unrealistic expectations, the lack of communication can just be breeding ground for resentment.
Absolutely.
Ministering to me.
So if marriage doesn't fix us, what does? Who does? What?
Of course, God. God fixes us through our marriage. God fixes us through our marriage.
Say it one more time.
I was gonna say,
God fixes us through our marriage, ladies and gentlemen.
Do you want to be fixed? That's my question.
That part.
How long
God
we
fixes
gonna be
us
here?
through our marriage because, like you said, what the expectations people will show you in a way that you would never seen yourself before. I know that's not a right grammatically incorrect English English language, this organic voice, but I'm so sorry.
Mhm.
But he will show you yourself, and he will fix you if you want to be fixed. If you want to be fixed,
Mhm.
and that will make it easier. That will make things go painlessly and quicker because you're yielded and humble, and you will see things in fresh eyes. Everything will be different. That's the fixing. That's the fixing. Your eyes will be open. You'll see your husband or your wife in a new way. You'll see the situation, the circumstance in a way. Like Amy was saying, like, okay, maybe he's on a phone call that I didn't know about. Or maybe he's hiding something behind the scenes because he's trying to surprise me about something. And then you sit there when the surprise comes, looking and the joke's be on you.
So I believe that women have to make the decision to want to be fixed or healed, delivered. I'm going to use those words interchangeably because sometimes when you've been rejected for such a long time, you've walked in unforgiveness, bitterness, and resentment, it's your norm. You now identify with it. And so to be anything different than that, it's unseen territory for you. And sometimes women, we choose to stay in it because it's familiar.
Yeah.
It's easy to unforgive. It's easy to just stay in bitterness. It's easy. I've been doing it for years. It's kind of who I am, but it's not who you are. So there's a real honest decision that women have to make to say, okay, I'm going to leave these things at the altar with God because I want to be better. And you'd be surprised how many women don't make that decision for whatever reason. And so we're here to encourage you to make that decision.
I'm going to add something. I think also, again, going back to the Prince Charming and the knight in shining armor, a lot of us love the feeling that comes with being the victim or the damsel in distress.
Oh, wow.
Where it's like, it's nothing like feeling rescued. It's nothing like being baby.
Yes.
It's nothing like I was wronged and do whatever you need to do to make it right.
Yes.
It's just something. And that, again, leads to the resentment and all these other issues, and also unforgiveness as well. And we have to really be big girls and big boys in marriages.
Yes.
And a lot of us are one age naturally, but another age emotionally, another age mentally. Like we could be grown men and women, but those little girls and little boys within us are showing up more in the marriage than the man and the woman of God. And so this is something that my apostle stated before, that a lot of times in marriage, we are talking to each other's trauma. Like we're not even talking to each other. I'm talking to abandonment and you talking to rejection.
Oh, yeah.
And we wonder why we can't hear each other, because I'm waiting for you to, again, like how I said about the validation, I'm waiting for you to do something about the fact that I felt rejected. You know, I'm waiting for you to do something about the fact that I feel abandoned, or I feel insecure, or I feel less than. Like you are the solution, but not realizing that God is the solution.
Yes.
And then a lot of us have an issue with God being the solution, because again, God does things His way. God will say to you, when you've been wrong, you go apologize and you be the bigger person. And then it feels like that person won.
Talk to our spouse, to one another, and hear what they're perceiving through the filter of our emotions, how you're feeling. And that's where offense comes in.
Yes.
That's where offense comes in.
Yeah.
That's where the jealousy comes in. That's where the competition comes in, because you coming in already about to bang at breakfast. Barely even cracked open an egg. And it's just like, oh, I'm angry. I'm pissed off. I'm this. And he's saying hi to you, and you just felt it. You have to hide. You just
You say it like that.
didn't even hide. Just came out. And then you just, why you say it like that? Why you tweak your lips up like that? Why you looking at me like that?
Yes.
So what are some practical things that women can do or have in their toolbox, in their woman's toolbox, to not go through this, to not have that distorted perception that marriage cures this? What are some things they can do?
Well, you have to keep the truth before you. You have to keep the truth before you. And it's challenging when the truth and how you feel are different. Because a lot of times the truth, a lie or deceit is more louder than the truth.
Yes.
How you feel. You ever feel, like when you feel, you feel.
Yeah.
Especially when you feel wronged or you feel whether it's angry, sadness, or what have you, at times it can feel like just engulfing, like it just takes over. And then here comes the truth, but that don't give him no right to talk to me like this. And that don't, you bypass all of that. But the truth is, you misheard them.
Yeah.
And then what happens is you gotta put your big girl panties on, you gotta put your big boy boxes on, and then you have to humble yourself, which don't nobody like doing, right? Because again, it felt like you won.
Right.
And now I have to apologize, but my emotions and everything in me is screaming. And as you said, like the filter, a lot of us, our filters are very dirty. And the filters are our hearing, our sight, our minds are very dirty. They're very clogged. And so you could say this, and I hear you can say things in a way, but if there's trauma, there's a trauma filter. Or check this out. I've been hurt before, and I'm never, ever, 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 ever going to put myself in a position where I will hurt like that again. And then what happens to your filters is it's like these blockages or these walls or things like that, because you're trying to keep the hurt out, but not realizing that keeping the hurt out is not also allowing for things to come in. And so now God in the marriage has to use your partner that he chose for you as not only the one to be the mirror, but also to challenge those filters. You had to say it like that. And we deflect, right? And it's like, well, I don't like how you said that, because it triggered something, or it touched in a space that you vowed, not even realizing that you did, never to allow for this space to be touched in a negative way again. But not realizing also that you put yourself in a position for it not to be touched again, not just even negative.
That was good. So I believe that community and therapy, marital counseling is very, very important. The right marital counseling, the biblical marital counseling is very important. Set yourself up for success for marriage, whether it's before marriage or if you're in marriage now. Really take a moment to say, what are the tools that my husband and I need, or my wife and I need? What are the tools that we need right now that's going to set our marriage up for success? For one spouse, it may be therapy. It may be therapy for both spouses. One spouse or both may need to see some doctors, maybe need to get their health together, may need to get quality sleep, may need to be in their word more, right? So we didn't even touch upon just the natural day-to-day things that set you up for success to be healthy, right? Because if you're sleep deprived, you're not eating right, you're not taking your vitamins, you're dehydrated, you're working, you're burnt out, how can you show up as the best spouse? Honestly, how can you show up as the best spouse? So your toolbox should have natural things that are needed, spiritual things that are needed to help you set your marriage up for success. You and your spouse are on the same team. The enemy doesn't want you to know that. The enemy wants to deceive you to think that you and your spouse are in total competition. His job is to steal, to kill, and to destroy, especially a marriage, because it's so powerful when you come together for God's glory. And the enemy doesn't want that. He doesn't want you to succeed. He wants to cut off your legacy, your generation. He wants to infiltrate your home. He wants to get to your children through the mother and the father. So it's very important that you recognize who the real enemy is.
Yes,
That was good.
that's good.
That's very good.
That's very good. Like you said, confront the truth by calling out the lie. Call out that lie. Like exactly whatever, even if you don't know what the lie is, if you even think it's a lie, just say it out. Like, the devil is a liar. Yes, sometimes that might be the devil, sometimes it may be your own mouth that may be confessing lies that you're conditioned to. I'm always going to be alone in this marriage. That's a lie. How can two walk together unless they... Okay, if you feel like you're alone, are you in agreement? You're not alone in the marriage. Confront the truth with the lie. You said a good thing about taking care of yourself physically. My profession, I see the end of that, both good and negative, especially if you're not taking care of yourself, because a lot of ages now, marriages are being separated by death, even in young ages. The husbands and wives are different ages, younger and getting younger and younger. And so not only for yourself, but for your generations to come, but also just really think about what it is you're thinking about that's making you feel that you're having it. So now it's the mind and the heart. So think about what you're thinking about that's making you feel this way. If you really focus on what it is you're thinking about, you'll catch the truth. Confronting it with God's word. I like to call them daggers. Whatever that is, throw that daggers.
So what happens when you're afraid to know what the truth is? Because especially, we've heard the truth hurts. And if you've already experienced a level of hurt and you know that, do I really want to know what the truth is? And then especially, do I want to know what the truth is about me?
Yes, that's a good question. One thing that came to mind when you said that was just take inventory of how yourself is in that moment. Like how you're really feeling, what brought you to this point, how angry you might have felt, how hurt you're feeling, how heavy you're feeling. Like, why are you even in this position contemplating these thoughts? Like, okay, I want to hear the truth, but is the truth really going to help me? Think about how much the truth is going to help you break free from what you're feeling up until that moment. Think about how the truth, like, okay, nothing worth fighting for is easy. And so that may be fighting through the fear, fighting through the hesitation, fighting through the what ifs, the self-doubts, the his doubts, the her doubts, you're not going to be successful. This is not going to be the true thing. Now you go and say this and he's going to downplay what you're saying. He's going to think that what you're saying is, oh, you're just being emotional. Or you're just being, you're just talking up the side of your neck. Or you just, girl, just sit down somewhere. Negate all that. If you know, think about it even so. As much as you're getting opposition, think about how much more that freedom is bigger. Opposed to the opposition when you break through that fear.
Real good. So as we go into this new week, what encouragement do we have for people? What charge are we going to give them? My charge is marriage doesn't cure, Jesus does. Marriage doesn't cure, Jesus does. Jesus the Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach cures. That's my charge for you this week. If your perception is distorted, if you're struggling with the reality of your marriage, if you have preconceived notions about how marriage should be and it's going to cure these different things, it does not. Right? We're 3 wives, 1 mic, unfiltered. So we're here to tell you, it does not. Marriage doesn't cure, Jesus does. That's what I got.
That's good.
That's a good one. Take inventory. Take inventory of everything internally, externally, because out of abundance of the mouth, the heart speaks. And the heaviness of the heart is from what's the weightiness of the mind. And so think about what it is you're thinking about that's weighing on your mind, that's weighing on your heart, that's causing you to say these things, because it's a circle. You say it out your mouth, your ears will pick it back up and they'll think about it as a truth, and it'll come as an endless cycle within yourself. So take inventory about what it is that's really making you feel these ways.
Absolutely. Amy, you have some affirmations for us?
I do.
Let's affirm the men and women.
I do. No one arrives until they arrive in heaven. Until they arrive in heaven. And prayerfully, that's where we're going. No one arrives. And you know what I would say? I want you to say, this is what I want everyone to do. For those who are single, I want you to ask yourself this question. Would I date me? Or would I court me? Excuse me. Would I court me? And the first thing you probably think is, yes, I will. But you're thinking about the good stuff. You're thinking about the things that you do well. I want you to sit and really think about the positives and the negatives, the things, your strengths and your weaknesses. Okay? Take, like you said, take inventory. Ask yourself, would I court me? And if the answer is no, then work on thyself. Okay? Now for those who are married, I want you to do the same thing. But instead of saying, would I court me, would I stay married to me? Because you're already married. Right. Would I stay married to me? And again, we think about, when it comes to ourselves, we think about the good we do. But when it comes to other people, we think about the not so good things that they do. But we have to be honest. Be honest. Would you date, would you court you if you're single? would you marry or stay married to you if you're married?
Yes.
And if you write down the things that your spouse has told you about you, the things that they have challenges with concerning you or issues with, and if that's something that you would not want to deal with if the shoe was on the other foot, do something about it. And that's my TED Talk.
Well, thank you for your affirmations. I hope that was helpful for everyone that's listening, and also the takeaways and just the different things that were given to you to set yourself up for success. Even though marriage is not the typical fairy tale, we know that it's the mirror that God's going to use to sanctify you, to be holy, right? And before we close, I'm actually also thinking about something. Why do we want to be married?
Oh boy.
Because if you really knew that marriage, one of the purposes is for the sanctification of a person, to look like Christ, to grow the fruit, to walk in the Holy Spirit, to grow you, to mature you. If we really knew that's what it was, and not just the wedding and the bridesmaid dresses and the experience, then I wonder how many people honestly would still want to be married. Because God will use your spouse as a mirror, and that mirror will magnify everything in you that you did not deal with. Everything in you that opposes God, everything in you that needs to be taken out, uprooted. God will use your spouse to show you, and God will use you to show your spouse. So why do you want to be married? Are you ready to go through that? Are you ready to be sanctified through the covenant of marriage? That's something I want you to think about. So we're here to set you up for success in your marriage, and we will be talking about so many different topics over the next few weeks. And again, we are 3 wives, 1 mic, no filter. This is the truth about happily ever after. If this episode hit home, tell us in the comments. We would love to hear from you. Also, share it in that group chat. And don't forget to subscribe, comment, engage. You can also follow us on Facebook, The Truth About Happily Ever After Show. You can follow us on Instagram @truth_AGA and TikTok @truthAGA. This is The Truth About Happily Ever After, the show where fairy tales get flipped and faith gets real.